Hi kids, take 58. Just kidding. I have my friend Sarah helping me video today's lesson. I hope you all had a really great weekend. We're going to continue working with money this week and solving problems using money. So we're going to get started today talking about what each coin looks like as a fraction and as a decimal. So here we have our pennies. Our pennies are worth 1 out of 100. That 100 represents the whole dollar. That's what it looks like in a fraction, 1/100th. If I were to write this as a decimal, that's what it looked like as a decimal. So how does it look different if we're talking about money? Well, I add my dollar sign, that's my label for money all the time. And since I'm only talking about 1/100th or 1 penny or 1 cent, I have no whole dollars, I have no tenths, and I have 1/100th. That's 1 cent. So that's how you write 1 penny. Next, we're moving on to 5 cents. This is 5 out of 100. So 5/100ths. And it would look similar to this, where you would have the 5 in the hundredths place. And in order for it to represent money, you add your dollar sign, 5 cents. If you had the 5 here, that would be in the tenths place, and that would be worth 50, but this is 5. So next is my friend the dime. It's the smallest one. A dime is 1/10 of a dollar because it's 10 holes. So 1/10 is the dime. It could also be written as 10/100ths. There are 10 pennies wrapped up inside of there. And how would that look in a decimal?
Mom.
1/10.
I'm sorry, keep going.
And I put it into a value for money, and that's 10 cents. Okay. And here's my quarter. My quarter, I need 4 of them for $1. So there's 25 cents wrapped up in there. So there will be 25 pennies in there. So 25/100ths is the same as 1/4 or 1/4. I'm going to be working with this in about a minute in a separate problem. If I were to use it as a decimal, that's what it would look like. And by adding my dollar sign, I have now made this into money. 25/100ths is 25 cents, 25 out of 100. Now let's take a look at the 25. Okay. I just talked about this equaling 1/4 or 1/4. 1/4 of a dollar, because why, boys and girls? You're right. Because we need 4 of them to equal the whole dollar, right? So if I have 2 quarters, I have a lot of equivalent things like numbers I can write here. So this is 2 quarters or 2/4, which is 1/2. But how much is this worth in all? It's 50 cents out of 100. 50 is half of 100, so that's half of a dollar. How would I write that? Put your dollar sign, you have no whole dollars, and you have your 50 cents. And now I'm moving on to my 3/4. 3/4. That rings a bell. We worked a lot with that fraction. 3/4. So how much is 3/4 worth? You're right, 75 cents. 75 out of 100. So that's 25 plus 25 plus 25. 75 out of 100. So these, boys and girls, are equivalent fractions. Just like these are equivalent fractions, and whoopsie, this is an equivalent fraction. And how does this become money? Magically putting my dollar sign. 0 whole dollars and 75 hundredths of my other dollar. Okay, nice work. If you have a whiteboard or a notebook and you want to follow along this next problem, go right ahead. Feel a little purple coming on. All right, second part of our lesson, boys and girls, is to take an amount of money and to show how to represent that in different ways. So I'm going to start off easy, and I'm going to take my quarter. Okay, that's my 25 cents. I'm going to write that. It's always good to practice writing money. Some people write money like this, but that only works if you have just regular cents. We're going to be adding whole dollars soon, so we're going to stick to writing it like that. How are some other ways I can make 25 cents? Let me give you a second to think about that. Well, you could certainly use 25 of these bad boys right here. 25 pennies. I don't have 25 pennies. I'll have to have my assistant work on that for us. 25 pennies is the same as 1 quarter. So I could have 25 pennies. 25 of those guys right there. Be a lot of noise in your pocket, be weighing you down a little bit, but it would work. 25 cents is 25 cents, right? Well, how else can I make 25 cents? 2 dimes, 10, 20, and my nickel is 5, 10, 25. So 2 dimes and 1 nickel would make 25 cents. How else can I make 25 cents? Well, I think I could still use 2 dimes, but what could I replace the nickel with? Yep, you're right. 5 pennies. Now it's looking like, boys and girls, I'm going to be able to go on for a while. I'm going to do one more. How else can I represent 25 cents? Well, I know that I could count by 5s and get to 25. My nickels are 5, so I'm going to 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So there is another combination of how to get to 25 cents. Okay. Let's say we were to do this with something that had dollar bills. Now you see how many, and I'm not done. There are more possibilities of getting to 25 cents as that. Let's say I just had $5. What are some ways I could get to $5? Well, I could use 5 of my $1 bills. What else could I do? I think you're right. You guys are very smart. I could take one of my $1 bills and I could use 4 quarters. That's still $5. So I think you catch my drift. You're going to go on to the next slide and practice some equivalent fractions of 1/4, 1/2, and 3/4 using your money. And we're going to give you an amount of money, and you're going to see if you can come up with some possible combinations on how to make that amount of money. Great job today, boys and girls. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.